Good morning, everyone. We have a great opportunity today to really delve into Saint Teresa of Avila and her insights into obtaining the path to the mystical union. Highly recommend beginning to practice this. And as I was rereading it before, um, it triggered some things that I used to do years ago that I don't do anymore and I need to get back to doing. All right, today is Saturday, October 21st, 2023, and a good afternoon and good morning, depending on where you are. CJ, Greg, Maria, anybody else who's listening in. CW, I hope you're still well. Been quiet lately, which might be a good thing because, as the ascent to the union, the mystical union, usually means like a pulling back from a lot of the activities that you normally do as you get closer to God. And I was talking to my daughter about that, and she's wrestling with all of these new callings by the Trinitarian Theophany and by the world and how they're supposed to mate and or not. So it's interesting. All right, let's begin with morning prayers and we'll get right to it. In nomine Dei, Patronum nostri, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of God and in Catholic contemplation humbly adore the Trinitarian Theophany. Most holy and adorable Trinity, one God and three divine beings, I believe that thou art here present. I adore thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. O God, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank God for the many graces that we receive, and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to the Trinitarian Theophany. O God, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, O God, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of God the graces which are necessary to us. O God, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, O God, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O God, Our Lady, Mother of God, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O my God, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell, but most of all because I have offended thee, my God, who art good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. The acquired prayer of recollection and passive recollection, according to Saint Teresa of Avila. The passage from acquired to infused prayer is illumined in the light of what St. Teresa wrote about the last of the acquired prayers, which she calls the acquired prayer of recollection, and about initial infused prayer, which she calls supernatural or passive recollection. The saint describes the last or the highest of the acquired prayers as follows. It is called recollection because by its means the soul collects together all the faculties and enters within itself to be with God. The Trinitarian Theophany thus comes more speedily than would otherwise to teach it and to grant the prayer of quiet. For being retired within itself, the spirit can meditate on the Passion and can there picture in its thoughts Deum Jesum Christum, and can offer him to Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum without tiring the mind by journeying to find Deum Jesum Christum along the path of the Passion. Those who are able to thus to enclose themselves within the little heaven of their soul, where dwells the Creator of both heaven and earth, and who can accustom themselves not to look at anything, nor to remain in any place which would preoccupy their exterior senses, may feel sure that they are traveling by an excellent way, and that they will certainly attain to drink of the water from the fountain, for they will journey far in a short time. They resemble a man who goes by sea, and who, if the weather is favorable, gets in a few days to the end of a voyage which would have taken far longer by land. These souls may be said to have already put out to sea, and though they have not quite lost sight of land, still they do their best to get away from it by recollecting their faculties. If this recollection is genuine, it is easily discerned, for it produces a certain effect that I cannot describe, but which will be recognized by those who know it from personal experience. The soul seems to rise from play, for it sees that earthly things are but toys, and therefore mounts to higher things. Like one who retires into a strong fortress to be out of danger, it withdraws the senses from outward things, so thoroughly despising them that involuntarily the eyes close so as to veil from the sight what is visible, in order that the eyes of the soul may see more clearly. Those who practice this prayer almost always keep their eyes shut during it. This is an excellent custom for many reasons. The soul appears to gather strength and to dominate itself at the expense of the body. By persevering in the habit of recollecting itself for several days, and by controlling ourselves, the benefits that will result will become clear. We shall find that when we begin to pray we shall find that when we begin to pray, the bees, a symbol of the different faculties, will return to the hive and enter it to make the honey without any effort on our part. For the Trinitarian Theophany is pleased to reward the soul and the will by this empire over the powers, in return for the time spent in restraining them. Thus the mind only requires to make them a sign that it wishes to be recollected, and the senses will immediately obey us and retire within themselves. When the will recalls them, they return more quickly, until after they have re-entered a number of times, The Trinitarian Theophany is pleased that they should settle entirely in perfect contemplation. These last words refer to infused prayer, prepared for by active prayer or the acquired prayer of recollection, just described, and also called simplified effective prayer. The very slow and loving meditation on some of the prayers that we say, like the Ave, are a good preparation for it. Thus, acquired prayer prepares the soul for infused prayer. I'm going to read the footnote here. In chapter 29 of The Way of Perfection, Saint Teresa states clearly the nature of this last acquired prayer and shows that in it there is a disposition to receive infused contemplation. Quote, I advise whoever wishes to acquire this habit, which, as I said, we have the power to gain, not to grow tired in trying gradually to obtain the mastery over oneself. I know that with God's help, if you practice it for a year, or perhaps only 6 months, you will gain it. Think what a short time that is for so great an advantage as laying this firm foundation, so that if Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum wishes to raise you to a high degree of prayer, he will find you prepared for it, since you keep close to him. Saint Teresa describes initial infused prayer, that of supernatural or passive recollection, which precedes the prayer of quiet, as follows. Okay, so this is her describing infused prayer. This is a kind of recollection which I believe is supernatural, like the prayer of quiet. There is no occasion to retire, nor to shut the eyes, nor does it depend on anything exterior. Involuntarily the eyes suddenly close, and solitude is found, without any labor of one's own. The space of which I spoke is reared for the soul in which to pray. The senses and exterior surroundings appear to lose their hold, while the spirit gradually regains its lost sovereignty. But do not fancy you can gain it, this recollection, by thinking of God dwelling within you, or by imagining God as present in your soul. By the divine assistance, everyone can practice it, but what I mean is quite a different thing. Sometimes before they have begun to think of God, the soul is keenly conscious of a delicious sense of recollection. Here, it is not in our power to retire into ourselves unless God gives us the grace. In my opinion, God's majesty only bestows this favor on those who have renounced the world. He thus specially calls them to devote themselves to spiritual things. If they allow God power to act freely, God will bestow still greater graces on those whom he thus begins calling to a higher life. The saint adds, unless God's majesty has begun to suspend our faculties, I cannot understand how we are to stop thinking without doing ourselves more harm than good. Unquote. For then we would remain in idleness or the somnolence of the quietists. The supernatural recollection which St. Teresa describes in the preceding passages is clearly a mystical prayer, the beginning of infused contemplation, for which simplified, effective meditation prepares the soul. I'm going to stop there. It goes on. Tomorrow we'll talk about St. John of the Cross and his explanations on it. Today would be a good day, at least in New England here. It's a rainy, quiet day to begin to practice, to recollect our faculties. Deum vobiscum, quoque apote. Oremus. O God, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, hoc maculatum hostium, quam ego indinius famulos tuos offeritibi Deum meum vivum et verum. Pro in medibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligencies meis, et pro omnibus fidelibus circumstantibus, sed et pro omnibus fidelibus catalocorum vivis aquae defunctis ut mihi et idis proficiedat salutem. Deum qui humani substantia dignitatem mirabilita condidisi et mirabilis reformasti de nobis spiritus aqua divinimis Deum, eis divinitatis esse consortis qui militatis nostrae fieri dinotis es padaceps, Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum viviet et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum de peccantis clementiam, ut in conspectu divina majestatis tuae pro nostro et totius mundus salute, cum adoris suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu meditatis et in animo contritus suscipiamur te Deum Iesum Christum, et sec fiat sacrificium nostrum in conspectu tuo hodie, ut placeat tibi Deum matronam nostri et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Bene Sanctificator, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et benedicit oblata prosequendo et acepere hoc sacrificium tuo sancto nomine preparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas, hoc oblationem quam tibi efferimus, a memoriam passiones, resurrectionis et ascensiones Deum Iesum Christum. Et in honorum Deum matronam nostrae, et a Papa Peter Sanctorum, et istorum et omnium Sanctorum, ut illis proficiet ad honorem, nobis autem ad salutem, et ili pro nobis intercedere, et in in celis, quorum amorum agimus in telis, per indum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut meam ec vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat apud Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipiat Deum Iesum Christum, sacrificium de manibus tuis, et laudam et gloriam nomini sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostram totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te, surus corda, habemus a Deum, gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te igitur clementissime Mater et Pater, Deum Matram Nostre et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Deum Nostre, subite agamus ac petimus. Ut recepte bes et benedicas, ex sanctam sacrificii milibata. In primis quae tibi efferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam, catholicam, quam pacificare custodiri ad honore, et regere digneris toto obiterarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famulorum Catholicorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We especially pray for Clarette, Katie, Gage, Mark Jr., Casey, Neil and Earl Lively, Maria Josephina Mose, Henry, Barbara, Benedict, Robert, and Malachi Santa Croce, Mr. Nobody, Zenaida Luis and Amparo Cantu, Julian Galavis, Luis Antonio Cantu, Jenna, Lena, Lori, Aaron and family, Maria and the Lineweber family, the Dasco Nye, Tafur, Began, and Wolf families, and Alex Tafur. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, and child abuse and sexual trafficking of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, and medium of exchange. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society and to reverse all the wrongs and to support a strong Catholic family home life. We ask that quote-unquote gay marriage be banned, and we ask for a reversal of the feminist ideology and a return to godly femininity. We ask that all pornography and the OnlyFans platform be stopped immediately and forever. We pray to shut down all gateways and portals, particle accelerators, and CERN, all harmful radiation waves, and that we return to a simple life. We pray for peace everywhere, and we pray that God grants us these intentions according to God's holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantium quorum tibi fides conete est et nota devotio, pro quibus tibi ferimus, vero qui tibi frontox sacravitium laudis, pro se suisque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum, suarum pro spe salutis et ingulam aetati suae, tibi que redunt vota sua, aeterno, Deum vivo et vero. Communicantes et memoriam venerantes, in primis gloriose, semper Deum Matronum Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Beatorum martyrium tuorum Papa Sancti Petri, et Sancti Lucia, et Sancti Jacinta, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum quorum meritis praetibusque concedas, ut in omnibus protectiones Tuae muniam exidio per in Christum Deum nostrum, quam oblationem te Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus, consecratum acceptabilem conficere dineris ut nobis corpum, et sanguinem fiat didictissimi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pateretor recepet panem sanctus sacramentis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum ate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit, fregit, dedique lumnis sui dicens jacipite et manducate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simili modo postquam ceremonias accipiens et hunc preclarum calicem in sancta sacramentis manus suas, item tibi gratias agens Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecrave dedique lumnis sui dicens accipite et bibite ex omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum, et quod est cum proficieditis meum facietis. Unde et memores Deum nos servitui, sed plebs tua sancta justum Christum filium tuum Deum nostre, tambe et passiones nec non et benfedis rejectiones, sed et in celos gloriosi ascensiones afferimus, preclare maiestati tutti tuis donis actatis, supraque propitio ac sereno voturis spicieri dineris, supplicis te regamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ive hic per fide permanus tuum, ut quod, executaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem semimus omni benedictione celeste gratia repeamur, per in Christum Deum nostri. We pray for those who have died, and we especially pray for May Stelzer, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum in Christum crescentibum locum reficere lucis et pacis, ut tanto geste proclamar per in Christum Deum nostrum. Per quem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivificas, benedictis et prestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso est tibi Deum Matrum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Deum Matronam Nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Deum Matronam Nostrae, Materam Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quesumus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ab omnibus malis praeteritis presentibus et futuris, et intercedente beate gloriosa semper Deum Matronam Nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis, da propitius pacem in diebus nostris, ut opi misericordiae Tue aduiti et peccato, simus semper liberi et ab omnia perturbatione securi. Per iendum Deum nostrum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Deum nostrum, qui tegem vivet et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum, quoque apud te. Et commixtio consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum, fiat et cipiendibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum Matronam Nostrae, quoperante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuum vivificasti libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinem tuum ab omnibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis males, et fac me tui semper in harare mandatis et et nunquam separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deum Matronam Nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum vivis et regnam aeternam. Perceptio corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego in inius sumere presimo non mihi proveniat in judicium et condemnationem, sed pro tua pietate prosit mihi ad tuta mentis et corporis, et ad me delam percipiendam, qui vivis et reinas cum Deum Matronam Nostrae, in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem celestum accipiem et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum Matronam Nostrae non tundignus, ut in Jesu te meas in tanto verba sanctorum mea. Deum Iesum Christum non tundignus, ut in Jesu te meas in tanto verba sanctorum mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non tundignus, ut in Jesu te meas sed tanto verba sanctorum mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. Qui retribuam Deum Iesum Christum, pro omnibus queritud mihi, calicem saetare sicipiem in nome Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostri et ab inimicis meis avocero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. Quodore sumpsimus Deum Iesum Christum punimente capemus et immunine tempore filius remedium sempiternam. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum. Quod sunt et sanguis compretavi heribus meis presta, ut in me non remenia scelera macula quem purat sacramenta, reficerat sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te, oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids. We beseech thee, O God, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te, ite miseas Deum gratia. Placia tibi sancta Trinitam, obsequium servitutis meae presa ut sacrificium, cor oculis tuae majestatis in illus auctoriti visetat et autem mique et omnibus, pro quibus irut auctolis siti miserante propitiabile per Christum Deum nostrum. Benedicat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum. Deum Matronam nostre et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gratias. My God, I believe, I adore, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not adore, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinitarian Theophany, I adore thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of God Jesus Christ, who was, is, and ever shall be, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended. And through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and immaculate heart of God, Our Lady, who was, is, and ever shall be, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Dei, matronam nostrum, et Dei meisum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gratias. Thank you for attending today. Please begin your contemplation, your recollection of the faculties, so that you can be prepared for the infused prayer. It takes some time, and if you've never done it before, which I doubt, I think you all have had some of that practice, but let's try and be consistent with it. And let's journal also any kind of like intentions that we are praying for with our rosaries or at Mass, so that we can jot it down, and when they are successful, we can then have them recorded. And our plan here is to have them available for a special web page on the website at ourladyisgod.com. So once we have those recorded, we're going to, documented, proved, etc. We're going to list them there. It helps with new members. I understand those of you who practice the faith don't need that sort of thing necessarily, but it's good to show to some newbies, let's say, who might be interested. All right, thanks for coming today. May God sanctify and consecrate all that you do. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It'll be Sunday. Have a great day.